Yes, Babyface, walking on air. Dr. Doug here with the KRV FM, the heart and soul of San Antonio. And we have none other on the line here than our distinguished mayor, Ron Nirenberg. Ron, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Doug. It's good to be with you, and Happy New Year to you and all the listeners of KRV.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So let's see here. Make sure we got everything going. Okay, so we're all set. So no matter what, I've kind of had a feeling that we would be close to like much further along with vaccines than we are. What do you think about with all of the they had to cancel the march here for MLK Day, and what do you think we're going to ultimately have to do?
Well, Doug, I mean, I think number one, we do have to give credit to the medical workers, the healthcare workers in our community. The vaccination rate in San Antonio has room to improve, but we're actually leading the state. We have the highest vaccination rate among the major metros in Texas, and that's something that is a tribute to everybody in our community that's taking this seriously. The place where we need to have a little bit better traction is the last group that became eligible, and that is the children who are 5 to 11. About a week ago, we tracked it was about 10%. So we have a lot of room
Oh my God.
in terms of making sure that parents hear the message that it's time to get their children vaccinated. If you have a child over the age of 5, please get vaccinated, especially with Omicron out there. This is the best defense that we have to prevent severe illness, and children over 5 need to get their vaccinations, and people in general need to have their vaccinations up to date, and that means if you're eligible for a booster, a COVID-19 booster, you need to go get it, because that is what's going to ultimately give you the best defense against Omicron and the rest of the COVID-19 variants, and prevent severe illness and hospitalization, and of course death.
Absolutely. Now, I've got mine. So we're going to be eligible for a fourth booster here come next week, correct?
Well, it depends. I mean, the CDC has talked about and has started to administer an additional booster for those who are severely immune compromised. And obviously, there's still a lot to learn. We get more data in about COVID-19 every single week from the CDC and the FDA. But right now, the boosters are available. The additional booster is available for those who are severely immune compromised. And obviously, as things move along and more time passes, we expect there to be some changes in the CDC policies regarding vaccination boosters for folks, generally.
So now I just have you heard about the combination where now it's mutated into like a part flu, part Omicron in California? Have you heard about that?
Well, we heard about the additional variant in France. We've heard about some other mutations that have occurred in other parts of the world. The variant of concern, the one that we're battling right now, is the Omicron, and that is about 98% of the cases in Texas, as we've been told by Dr. Hellerstedt, who is the head of state DSHS, the health services for the state. So Omicron is really the threat that's overwhelming our medical system. There are additional variants. There will always be. I mean, viruses, while they're still in the community or seasonal, they will mutate. But what we expect to happen, what we hope to happen, is that as additional variants come along, we hope that they'll follow the same pattern as other viruses of this kind have, which is that they become more contagious, but they also become less severe. We hope that will happen. Certainly, Omicron is a huge concern right now because it's just that contagious and it is overwhelming our hospital system. And so I wouldn't be concerned about things that haven't happened in terms of variants and things like that if they follow the same trajectory as other pandemics and epidemics have before. Omicron is what we need to be concerned about, what we need to handle right now.
Understood. Thank you for sharing that. I got my flu shot as well, so I've got everything. So I'm not trying to fool around with it,
And that's good because that is good because flu is going around as well, and I'm sure people are suffering from cedar fever and
Right.
all kinds of seasonal things going on. So the best thing you can do is protect yourself, get vaccinated, and for goodness sake, wear a mask where it makes sense. I mean, if you're in a crowded indoor location,
Absolutely.
and that's how we can get through this season and hopefully, limit the damage.
Wow. We still got a long way to go, I think, my friend.
You
So,
do, and credit against everybody in the community who's working together on this.
oh, actually, well, once again, I mean, it's no surprise that San Antonio Bear County is leading the state in vaccines because of all the. I mean, in every place I go, when I go to HEB or Walmart or something, I mean, I see everyone that I'm around, they're wearing masks. So I think, you and the judge, your guidance has gone a long way to getting people, to changing people's expectation and to keep them from like going off on the deep end on all these other kind of misinformation campaigns that happen.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, Doug. And again, thank you to all the healthcare workers out there who've been at this 24/7 for about over 2 years.
Over 2 years, yeah. So we had to cancel the march again. So what do you?
Yeah, it's disappointing, but we're not canceling commemoration. In fact, we didn't last year either. The MLK Commission, which we want to make sure that we're deferring to their judgment as they, have worked for decades on this march.
Oh yeah.
Made the decision to go virtual last week, and so we're supporting that. And we have a virtual commemoration virtual march scheduled, and so hopefully people will tune in and participate in a day of service on Monday. But it's really important that we continue to do that and observe not just on Monday, but throughout the year what the dream is, what it means, why the march still continues for equal rights and fairness and justice in our community, which is, again, has hosted one of the largest marches or the largest march in the country for many years.
Oh yeah. So it really just goes because it doesn't look like there's going to be a voting rights bill that gets passed in D.C. So I mean, I just think like right now we just need to figure out what we need to do to vote and then just start a mass information campaign so that people understand and they can be prepared when the time comes.
Well, and it's going to be an extra effort all across this country and here in San Antonio because of the fact that we're also facing a pandemic.
Right.
And we've had these suppressive voter restrictions passed in places like Texas and Georgia and other places. We're going to have to work together as a community to make sure that everybody exercises their right to vote, and neighbors helping neighbors, giving people rides if they need to the polls, doing everything you can and not taking for granted that the application that you sent in for mail ballot will get seen. We want to make sure that people get the information about how they can vote early, and so they have the opportunity to make their voice heard. Ultimately, what we have to do is exercise our right to vote in representatives who will stand up for the rights of our community and make it easier to vote, not harder.
Right. Well, I think the really big thing in here at home is just I think the governor's race is going to be really important. So hopefully we'll be surprised there and we'll get some different leadership in Austin.
It's high time, Doug. I think we can all agree that a single party is no longer in control of every branch of government in Texas. I think that day is coming soon.
Yeah, because it's really disheartening to see some of the things that are going on, and it just seems that any obstacle they can pick up for any cause that benefits people, they seem to be against. But the one thing that I'm really pleased with is that we have a new record. I was checking out looking at stuff to talk about today, and I found out that we have a record number of people registered at healthcare.gov for healthcare.
That's right, and one of the silver linings to all of this last 2 years is the increased attention being paid to community health and access to healthcare and creating new ways to access healthcare. We've had a very strong Enroll SA program for the last almost a decade now. This year we've had some additional time to do that. It's critically important, obviously, in the midst of this to fight the pandemic, and we do that through good medical coverage and healthcare access. But we also have to remember that in order to prevent the next one or to help us become a little bit more resilient
Yes, it is. Well, I think and I do agree that has been a silver lining, because the healthcare access has been, I mean, just tremendous the last couple of years. I mean, it started out slow, but you see more and more places open. They're open for longer hours. Um, I just think that's really good thing, because that's what really needs to happen. People need to go and check on their own personal health, because that's the whole thing with this compromised immune conditions. It's not taking care of our individual health.
And it has been one of the pillars of the Biden administration's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and also the recovery plan. And we are all hoping that we can see a Build Back Better plan passed, the Build Back Better bill passed. It's still in negotiation, but healthcare access, particularly for children, is a big pillar of the Biden administration approach. So we do hope to get traction there in this new year.
So now, the other thing about this, speaking of President Biden, I think he's doing a really good job. I mean, he's getting like everything but the kitchen sink thrown at him from every different angle, and he's been very resilient. So I think they're doing as good a job as they can. But the one thing that's happening here, I believe, is that the child care credit is going to go away by the end of this month.
That's right, and it's a big concern. I mean, there has been additional child care tax credits proposed in the bill, but again, we need Congress to act, and it's been a significant challenge for us throughout this pandemic to make sure that families in our communities have the resources they need to get through. And with inflation happening, with the challenges of employment, with the ongoing pandemic that is still disrupting our economy, last thing we need to do is be taking resources, eliminating resources and relief from the families most in need. So it is a concern, and that's why we need to make sure we need to continue to call on Congress to act on this recovery. It's not over.
No, because I feel I know several families that depend on that, and it's really helped them out a lot. And it's just going to go away, and they're going to be left again trying to figure out how to make ends meet.
That's right, and at a time when we were trying to get folks back on their feet in all of our communities, this is not the time to be eliminating these vital resources for families in need.
Absolutely. Well, since I got you here, got a few more minutes here. Can we talk about the jobs for SA deal?
Sure. This is one of the pillars of the San Antonio approach, and voters approved a huge investment in making sure that we break cycles of generational poverty, but also get folks back to work in the midst of the pandemic. And we started with the Train for Jobs program, and that has enrolled and helped in training, and it's still ongoing. 9,000 plus folks in our community. Many hundreds, several hundred folks have already completed their training, are now already in jobs. There's going to be several thousand folks that are completing their training over the next few months. And so this is a huge part of our approach, not just to get, the immediate recovery, but also long-lasting recovery that can help us break, again, cycles of poverty that have been gripping San Antonio for a long time. That's going to transition into the Ready to Work SA program that was voted in November 2020. And that's going to continue the effort over the next 5 years to get folks who have been underemployed or not in employment into training programs for jobs that are available right now. And we have thousands of jobs that are unfilled because they're lacking workers that have the credentials needed to take them. Jobs in construction, technology, manufacturing, healthcare. And so we're connecting folks with jobs, helping the employers at the same time keep their doors open by getting them the workforce that they need.
Well, I personally have gotten 7 people to register in the training deal, and they are unbelievably, overwhelmingly, happy with the outcome so far. It includes everything from transportation to some type of a stipend that help them make ends meet as they're going through their training or school or whatever. And it's just a very well put together and thought out program. And I just hope that people understand that and take advantage of it.
Thank you, Doug. And it was a community-supported approach. And in the midst of the pandemic, part of the training for their new career. There's also something that's going to be a feature of the next program, and that currently is part of Train for Jobs as well, are those wraparound services. You know, a lot of times it is, you know, a child care issue, or like you said, transportation, some issue, a life issue that gets in the way and prevents someone from completing a training program that ultimately leads them to a career that's sustaining. And we want to make sure that we anticipate those challenges and help each participant through those challenges so they can continue their training and ultimately get placed into a new job. And so if anyone is interested who's listening to this program in the Ready to Work SA program or the Train for Jobs program that's winding down, all they have to do is call 311, or they can go to the city's website, covid19.sanantonio.gov.
Cool. Because that is I'm really excited, because actually that's how I got, you know, off my feet, on my feet. When I got out of college, there were really no jobs for people, you know, with the college degree, that, especially if you're a minority. And so they had a similar program in Chicago that I took participated in, and that's how I got a job at the phone company. So these type of approaches really do work. It's coming from somebody who's benefited from such a program.
I appreciate you sharing that, Doug. And what San Antonio has done is unprecedented in terms of the scale of the investment. You know, there's great success stories. There's some challenging stories also about workforce programs all across the country, but not anywhere in the country at the local level has there been an investment in workforce to make sure that people can get to work in gainful careers where they're not having to work 2 to 3 to 4 jobs just to make ends meet. There hasn't been a scaled investment in any community in the entire country ever, and so there's a lot of eyes on San Antonio. I've talked with the Secretary of Labor, Marty Walsh. He is very interested and supportive of the approach that we've taken. We're also looking to leverage additional federal investments to help boost the program as well. So this approach, I think, is a key to our recovery. It's also a key to the nation's recovery, and something that I think is going to be modeled across the country.
Yeah, because, you know, and that's, you know, people here, some businesses here are complaining because people are quitting and going to other places. But you know, I think it's bad for the company where the employees are leaving, but it's good for the employees because they're finding other opportunities, and these type of programs that you guys have put together so you know, thoughtfully are what's giving them that opportunity. So it's really great. We got about a minute and a half. I got one more question I wanted to ask. Is there just are there still rental assistance opportunities out there for people?
There is, and our emergency housing assistance program, which started, you know, in March, April of 2020, and has really helped us prevent what we've seen in other cities where there has been a crush of evictions, is still active. It's still ongoing. It's still providing relief for folks who are needing rent assistance or utility assistance, and folks who are in need of that help can call 311 as well. There's some different eligibility criteria that has allowed us to, you know, do more for folks.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's been limited resources across the country. There's concern about those resources winding down, but San Antonio, I'm very proud of our community. We've been committed for over almost 2 years now to make sure that there are those resources available so long as people need them. So if you're in need of assistance, there's assistance available to you. Just call 311, and we can make sure that if you meet the eligibility criteria, we can help get the relief that you need.
Mayor Ron Nirenberg, Mayor of San Antonio, he presides over the hardest working city council in the United States. Those guys that are really do a great job for all of us here in San Antonio, and we're very fortunate to have you guys as our leaders. So thank you all so much for everything you do. And hey, try to get some rest, my friend.
You too, Doug. It's and the sun is going to rise on us here in 2022. Everybody hang in there, do your part. Let's get through this Omicron wave, and let's celebrate later in the year. But thank you to everybody who's been playing a role and taking part and take care of the neighbors.
Thank you so much, Ron. Have a wonderful day of service.
You too. Ron
Nirenberg, Honorable Mayor of San Antonio. That was him. You just heard about. You know, we need to make sure that if you're not vaccinated, go out and get vaccinated. Get your flu shot. Take care of yourself. There are all types of things out there that you can do to make sure that you stay safe. Make sure you get scheduled to get a physical. So whatever kind of condition you have, hey, it's better to know than to not know. So go out there and take care of yourself. There are all types of opportunities to get health care, to get rental assistance, to get jobs. So there are opportunities around now that are unprecedented, at least in my lifetime. So it's just if you have a need, you start by calling 311. And that's the catch-all place, and you tell them what your issue is, and they'll get you to the right person or the right place. So, KRV FM, the heart and soul of San Antonio, the Dr. Doug Saturday Insight Show will be back in just a minute. Bye, everybody out there. We're signing off from Facebook. And here we go. Let's see here.